Dr. Jessica Kimmel alluded to the feminist threat of intolerance to the women who choose to follow a certain lifestyle. She questioned modernity as an obstacle for choices and said modernity, bounces back and forth for women.
And his response was,
Dr. Kirk described Rabia, a female saint of Islam, as being one of the earliest teachers of Islam, and symbolized the women in the Gulen Movement as second Rabias. She exemplified various individuals she met while she was visiting Turkiye, like women lawyers, doctors, teachers, and CEOs.
And so the writings of Mr. Gulen are profoundly helpful because he is teaching us to value God's creation, to be unselfish, to share with those in need, to work for tolerance, to work for understanding, to build unity. And in his writings, we find practical suggestions, we find keys of how to live in the modern world in better ways than we are living right now in our overconsumption of resources, in our selfishness, in our limited vision and lack of respect for the other.
Dr. Nelson illustrated the educational system in the Gulen schools as guided by the visionary people who work all the way from preparing the students for classes to the character education. Mentioning education's primary ingredient as being love, he quoted Gulen, "Education requires knowledge and love." He referred to the three core values of Gulen on education: action, reflection, and attention.
I think the conference is useful because what it does is it brings things to a point, a focus, and it brings things together. Of course, I would agree with what was already said about Fethullah Gulen, is where it really comes from is individuals coming together that create their own organizations and voluntarily support other people. That's where the strength is from the individuals. But it does help sometimes to sit back, reflect in the form of a conference. What's been going on? What do we know? Because we may know our own local area very well, but we don't know what's going on in other places or how other people are perceiving it. So it's very useful in that regard.
Dr. Ball emphasized the contribution of the Gulen movement in interfaith dialogue as pointing to the interfaith activities of the movement making the meaning of Islam more accessible to non-Muslims. Belonging to the Catholic faith, he iterated the common goal of Gulen and the late Pope John Paul II to stop the clashes between religious communities. The conference was attended by more than 200 spectators coming from San Antonio and other cities around the region.
New attitude toward non-Christian religions. On the contrary, I believe she has much to gain. In conclusion, the Cardinal Renzi